All right, bruvs. Back with popular entertainments through the ages. I believe this is chapter 7. If it's not, I got my alignment all wrong. I believe it's 7. Yeah, the cinematograph. Cinematograph. Page 175, 20 pages. Slog through this, read it all. Open this. Is that how you say that? The cinematograph? Cinematograph? The cinematograph. Open chat up. The meanest show in the Bartholomew Fair of 1825, said Hone, was a peep show. What? It consisted of rudely painted scenes, which the proprietor successfully let down by strings, and it was viewed through eyeglasses of magnifying power by several spectators at a time. They stood on the ground, and a green curtain from a projecting rod was drawn round them while they were peeping at the scenes. These included the visit of the Queen of Sheba to Solomon, Daniel in the den of lions, the Battle of Waterloo, and the coronation of George IV. In view of Hone's opinion, it is only fair to the showman to say that more than any other exhibition, his peep show was the forerunner of a great new form of popular entertainment. It was a direct ancestor of the cinema. What's up, bruv? Only a year or so before the exhibition of this particular peep show at Bartholomew Fair, a method had been discovered on the continent whereby not one but several pictures mounted on the rim of a disc were viewed through a peephole. The connected series depicting various phases of motion. As photography had not then come into existence, the pictures were done by hand, like those of the ordinary peep show. Early in the same century, Lord George Sanger's father was traveling with a peep show. It was a large box which he carried on his back. The pictures were movable and very gaudy, and 6 people at a time could view them, through holes that were fitted with lenses. At fairs and elsewhere, he made a pitch, placed the box on a folding trestle, and shouted an invitation to all and sundry to walk up. His principal picture related to the Battle of Trafalgar, and the patter was excellent. He had fought on the victory. He had been wounded. Had been wounded in the battle, and was now pensioned off. Success attended his efforts to entertain the public. He secured a caravan and exhibited a peep show, which could be seen by 26 people at the same time. The pictures which he showed were also improved. Melodramas like the murder in the Red Barn were particularly in request. Another relative of the cinema is its cousin, the puppet show. In other times, the puppet show was called a motion, which is surely near enough the terms motion picture and movie. Some of the motions, like the movies, were accompanied by dialogue, and some were silent. Like the movies, the motions used the plots of plays which had been a success on the legitimate stage, and like many movies, they spoiled such plots. The magic lantern has an obvious direct connection with the cinematograph. Its invention is generally attributed to Kircher, who wrote about it in 1646, but very likely it was known earlier. One of the screen effects of the magic lantern has its counterpart in the cinema theater, where a train, for example, will rush at a terrifying speed towards the spectator. This exciting form of entertainment was known as the phantasmagoria. In it, instead of the spectator being between the lantern and the screen was between him and the lantern. By causing the lantern to approach the screen, the operator made the picture seem to close in upon the audience. When the figure shown was a ghost or some other terrifying apparition, the spectators got their money's worth of thrills. Various efforts were made to combine projection with the movement that was seen in the Continental apparatus with the disc device. About the middle of the century, a method was discovered. The pictures were still drawn by hand. Shortly afterwards, connected series of photographs were projected, but as photography was then in its infancy, the exposures had necessarily to be very long. A true record of movement was therefore impossible. In 1872, Professor Muybridge in California took the first real photographs of an object in motion. This is Phantasmagoria of the 18th century. This is the image projected onto looks like a curtain. And then this is the Magic Lantern in 1858. That's incredible, honestly. For 1858. His purpose was to investigate the gaits of a horse. He erected a battery of 12 cameras which were able to make exposures of 1/2000th of a second. They were electrically controlled and were so arranged that a regulated succession of exposures could be made in any given time. He secured and successfully projected pictures of a horse and later of athletes, kangaroos, birds, ladies dancing, and other simple subjects. At the Royal Institution where he demonstrated the pictures, there were among the spectators the Prince and Princess of Wales, Lord Tennyson, and Professor Huxley. Edison then set his wits to work. And in 1889, shortly after the invention of the flexible roll film, he exhibited the kinetoscope, the motion picture. The motion picture had come at last. It was in the form of a peep show. The kinetoscope consisted of a series of film pictures which ran between a source of light and the magnifying lens and were viewed through a hole. The film was the size of the standard film of today, but it was magnified only 6 times. Its 3 important ways the kinetoscope was limited. In 3 important ways the kinetoscope was limited. What do you got, bruv? The camera weighed about a ton and was therefore of use only in the studio. The films were very short, being only 50 feet in length, and this involved the restriction of the subjects to such things as very brief views of acrobatic performances and dancing. The apparatus had the disadvantage of not being able to project the pictures, which could only be seen by one person at a time. In 1894, the peep show device left the laboratory to make its first public appearance, which took place in a kinetoscope parlor in New York. The spectator inserted his nickel into the wonderful new invention and then saw our old friends, the trained bears, performing dogs, cats, and monkeys, a dancer, a contortionist, or a strongman. They had had many adventures on the long road, but the greatest of all was when they were made to move jerkily and shakily in the interior of a black box for the entertainment of the public. The kinetoscope was an instantaneous success. A demand arose for a machine which would project the pictures so that large numbers of spectators might be entertained. Edison is said to have possessed the secret of projection at this time, but he thought that 50 projectors would supply the world demand for living pictures and ruin his kinetoscope business. So he left a method of projection to be discovered by others. In September 1895, Thomas Armot of Washington demonstrated the projector, which later was called the Vitascope. The films it used were those taken in Edison's studio for the kinetoscope. Before him, however, were the Lumiere brothers, who, in March 1895, had exhibited their cinematograph at Lyons. It was portable as regards both the taking and showing of films. About the same time, Robert W. Paul of London was producing films with a portable camera of his own invention and was manufacturing duplicates of the kinetoscope. In February 1896, he introduced his theatrograph, which projected the pictures. 2. The first motion picture show in England was given by Truey at the Regent Street Polytechnic in February 1896. The projector being a Lumiere cinematograph. Practically at the same time, Robert W. Paul demonstrated his theatrograph. The invention, in other words, was in the air, and Mr. Paul, with the modesty of a true scientist, disclaims today any outstanding credit as an inventor. The moving picture, he says, was the invention of an epoch, not an individual. The moving pictures quickly invaded the music hall, starting in the smoking lounge of the Empire in March 1896. The management described the Lumiere cinematograph as a scientific contrivance that accomplished nothing less marvelous than the presentation before the Empire audience of accurate records, instinct with life and actuality, of real, living, moving scenes. What the scenes were did not matter. The attraction was in their resemblance to real life. At the Polytechnic, Truey had given a program which included the burning of a house, as a newspaper put it, from the instant it caught fire to the extinction of the flames, and the movements in a blacksmith's forge, even to the gradual reddening of the iron, the flying sparks, and the cloud of steam when the iron was plunged into water. Each picture lasted only about a minute. Few, if any, of the spectators at the Empire knew how the marvelous results appearing upon the screen were achieved, nor did the operator desire that they should be enlightened. He worked within a wooden box entirely hiding the apparatus. The program was as follows: dinner hour at the factory gate of M. Lumiere at Lyons, the landing stage, small lifeboat, the arrival of the Paris Express, a practical joke on the governess, Truey's hat, Champs-Élysées, Paris, the fall of a wall, and bathing in the Mediterranean. Robert Paul gave his first demonstration in February, about the same time as that given by Truey in the Finsbury Technical College. Here is the beginning of the report in the city press. A conversation was given by the students of the city in the Guild's Technical College on Thursday evening at the college in Finsbury. The rooms were tastefully decorated, the lamps and electric lighting apparatus being kindly lent by the Edison and Swan Company. There was a large display of objects in interest, most of the well-known electrical, mechanical, and chemical firms sending exhibits. One of the most interesting of these was the theatrograph, exhibited by Messrs. R.W. Paul of Hatton Gardens. By means of it, the pictures seen in an ordinary kinetoscope were magnified up to life size and thrown on the screen. Then there followed a description of the many other exhibits, which were also interesting. Among the subjects were a ship leaving for foreign parts, a boxing kangaroo, an acrobat, and a stormy day at the seaside. Some of the spectators near the screen dodged back to avoid getting drenched by the spray. The first topical film was that which Robert Paul took of the Derby in 1896 and showed at the Alhambra the following evening. In those days, the securing of the picture and its so speedy projection were both notable achievements. On a wagonette with his camera, various requisites, and two assistants, Paul set out from London early in the morning and arrived on the Downs about 8 o'clock. Fortunately, he had managed to secure a few square yards of ground a short distance past the winning post. Here he propped up the vehicle so that it might be absolutely stationary while the camera was in operation. The elaborateness of the whole contrivance, the novelty of the camera, and the fact that it was present in such a prominent and unusual position attracted a great deal of attention. The cameraman secured his picture of the finish and then rushed back to London by train, leaving his assistants on the field, where they took some more films. By working into the small hours of the following morning, he had the film ready in time to be tested before it went to the Alhambra. At the music hall, there was almost unprecedented enthusiasm when the picture, which lasted for about 2.5 minutes, was thrown on the screen. It was the first picture of the Derby, and it showed the winning of the famous race by Persimmon, whose owner was no other than the Prince of Wales. A more welcome film could hardly have been shown in a music hall. The name of Paul's machine was altered by the management of the Alhambra from theatrograph to animatograph. And the difference may perhaps be seen contrasting points of view regarding the future of the new form of entertainment. The inventor had associated its name with the theater. The purveyors of popular entertainment stressed its novelty as a projector of animated pictures. Theatrograph indicated a claim to more distinction than lay in mere novelty. It was a proud name. Animatograph showed a desire to appeal to the interest of the public in the novelty of real living pictures. The Alhambra was prepared to drop the pictures if they were not immediately successful. It had actually declined to take up the option, which had been secured on Truey's cinematography exhibition. The living picture was not taken seriously as a means of providing popular entertainment. It was to have a prosperous future as a sort of illustrated newspaper. What it might do for humanity was shown by the use to which it was soon turned by medical men. As a rival to the music hall, the new invention was not even considered, not even in the first years of the present century. It had, however, a place on a program of all but exceptionally unenterprising music halls. There's the horse galloping. And the Derby of 1896. And two views of the first cinematograph studio stage built by Robert W. Paul at New Southgate, London. That's crazy. 3. The first large film that was ever produced was instructional. This was The Passion Play, which was filmed in New York in 1897. It was fabulously expensive for the times, special sets having been built for it as for a stage play. No sets had been necessary for the photographing of such things as the arrival of the Paris Express, Truey's hat, dancing the Derby, and so on. The Passion Play was in 3 reels. It was very successful in America and set the fashion of producing specially for the camera. A religious and historical drama, The Passion Play was used in religious services, and ever since then, the film has been used as a means of propaganda. The Passion Play was represented to be a direct reproduction of the Oberrammergau Passion Play. The leaking out of the truth, however, did not prevent the public from flocking to see the picture. Deceptions also took place in England and harmed the reputation of the films. During the Boer War, for example, when there was a tremendous demand for news pictures from the front, a film of French's of French's cavalry scouts exercising near the base at Cape Town was boosted as a real charge. It was received with great enthusiasm by spectators at the Tivoli, received with great enthusiasm by spectators at the Tivoli, the Pavilion, and other music halls. The details about some of the frauds found their way into the newspapers, for film manufacturers were not loath to give away the secrets of their rivals. One enterprising reporter who had secured an interview gave his readers information about the deceptions, but he was told and passed on the assuring news that a certain war picture, taken, of course, by the representative of the person who was being interviewed, was genuine. It was merely another fake. Naturally, the public did not have a great deal of faith in the films. There was, however, a great demand for war pictures, and in addition to a proportion of deceptions, film manufacturers turned out many genuine films. Robert Paul distributed such pictures as The Embarkation of the Scots Guards and Cronje's Surrender to Lord Roberts. He had a series entitled Reproductions of Incidents of the Boer War, the pictures being arranged under the supervision of an experienced military officer from the front. The shooting of a spy, ambulance work, transporting rations, and so on were all given their flickering minute or two upon the screen. As pure entertainment, the films were not neglected. Thrills and laughter were often obtained by means of trick photography, as when an ogre looked over the wall of his castle, a witch flew through the air on a broomstick. A human being did the same with the wings of a butterfly. A fairy danced about, a transparent ghost appeared, a diver rose from the water feet first and sailed gracefully through the air to the diving board. Subjects like these helped to keep thoroughly alive the interest of the public in the novel moving pictures, and they were the earliest form of cinema entertainment, which gave the spectators something which could not be seen elsewhere. In doing this, although they were not enhancing their reputation in the eyes of people who wished to use the films in a more elevating manner, they were on the right lines. Charles Urban, a Londoner, began about 1902 to exhibit high-class pictures of scientific, geographical, and educational interest. Before very long, he was supplying the Alhambra with films. In 1904, he said in an interview, the management have become so thoroughly convinced of the importance of the turn that was originally used as a fill gap while scenery was being refixed is now a star turn in the center of the program. Enlivened by the finest music and received with rapturous applause. They acknowledged that a turn of like attractive value would cost from £75 to £100 nightly, and so well are the management satisfied that the policy of high-class work is the best that they have fixed up a 2 years contract. I'm sorry to say the provincial managers do not yet realize the due importance of the living picture show. As long as they can get a set of films that will keep the people quiet and can run a turn at a cost of £2 or £3 a week, they seem satisfied. Shortly afterwards, the Alhambra introduced an entertainment called Urban Nora. It took place in the hall itself, whereas the earlier all-film program at the Empire had been shown in the smoking lounge. The new entertainment, having secured a place in the music hall program, was now making an effort to secure the hall for itself. But the day of its victory was not yet. The films were shown for 2 hours in the afternoon and appealed to refined people. The gallery, it was stressed, was closed. No smoking was allowed in the auditorium, and afternoon tea was served. The program, too, was refined, including pictures of scientific, geographical, and educational interest, with which were blended a few in lighter vein. Not in this way was the film to grow to sturdy manhood, yet It is a pleasure to pay a passing tribute to the educational work which it did then and is still doing. 4. The general public has always preferred a story to instruction. It has wanted to feel excited, astonished, sad, happy, to feel, not to think. What it was being offered astonished it a great deal at first and appealed to its feelings at first, mainly because the form of appeal was novel, and a joke, for example, in the new medium was worth a dozen ordinary ones. Novelty, however, is clearly not a sound basis for any entertainment. The film industry, having no war pictures with which to attract the public, was in a state of decline about 1903. The good work that Urban was doing in England at this time was not in the direction of real popular entertainment. America, whom it is the fashion to run down in connection with films, came to the rescue. In 1903, Edwin S. Porter, seeing that the films needed a fillip, squeezed as many thrills as possible into the life of a fireman. The picture combined a certain amount of the instruction which was considered as necessary with the excitement which other producers had not thought necessary. The venture was successful. He followed it up with excitement pure and simple in The Great Train Robbery. This film, which occupied a whole reel, was even more successful. It was cheap, unelevating, uninstructive, but it did tell a thrilling story. It freed the films from their dependence upon novelty, trick comedy, variety turns to legitimate stage, news, and instruction. Its success prepared the way for the first cinema, which was opened in Pittsburgh late in 1905. The motion picture theater was called the Nickelodeon after the modest price of admission, and the show consisted of the immensely popular film The Great Train Robbery. The authoritative critic has pointed out with severity that the kinetoscope projected picture in Nickelodeon in America all came into being as an easy means of extracting money from the public, that they had no other aim whatsoever. He also expressed that not uncommon view that the film that is really a film is in no way concerned with story. The story, it is held, can be expressed in pictures, but always it would be more satisfactory if the medium of words had been used in place of pictures. The film should do only the things which no other form of art can do better. This is a high and worthy aim, but applying it to the films, what has it to do with popular entertainment? Films with worthy aims should be turned out for people with worthy aims. Such films deserve our utmost encouragement. When, however, it comes to the entertainment of the man in the street, he is entitled to get what he desires. His aim is the very ordinary one of securing entertainment. He usually wants a story. It might be a saving of his time if he read the story, which he could often do in 20 minutes instead of spending an hour or more looking at it on a screen. Nevertheless, uncaring of the masterpieces of literature which he may be missing, he wants to see the story in as concrete a form as possible. This is one of the reasons why quite intelligent people go to the theater to see the dramatized form of a novel which they have read, The Good Companions being such a play, and The Constant Nymph being an earlier one. The fact that the derivative form can hardly be as good as the original does not alter the other fact that people desire to see a known story or a new one acted. It is the same with the film story which the public wants. Theoretically, a story is more interesting when written. In practice, the public prefers the screen to the book, although the novelty of the former has passed away. The film producer is therefore entitled, as all artists are, to ignore the theorists. What he is after is the securing of the interest of the public. Charlie Chaplin and Virginia Sherrill in the United Artists picture City Lights. Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks in the United Artists picture The Taming of the Shrew, in which they appeared for the first time as co-stars. And their money, says the critic. Certainly, and their money. Their interest without the money would be of no use at all. There have been few modern purveyors of entertainments, or poetry, or painting, or sculpture, or anything else that one person ever created for the benefit of others who did not have an eye, or both eyes, on their money and trains. To accuse an artist of being too fond of money is like accusing him of being too fond of fish. It has nothing to do with the subject. He must be judged according to his work as an artist. If he cares to turn out poor films, well, then he turns out poor films, and for this he can be attacked. If, on the other hand, he turns out excellent works of art on which the public shows no inclination to spend its money and offers them as popular entertainment, he may be praised as an artist, but he must be dispraised as a businessman, and perhaps as not too interested in his work. If he tries to secure widespread popularity, has his film brought before the public and fails to interest them, he has failed in what, as an artist, he set out to do. It is not the fault of the spectators that they do not like his film. Their taste is the same as it was when, deliberately and without being asked to do it, he set out to please them. Any failure of the picture to entertain them is therefore the fault of the creator. A film artist who desires to be popular must take the public as he finds them. He can refuse to do this if he is a millionaire who can afford to wait until the public grows convinced of his merit, or if he is a genius who can poetically feed on honeydew and drink the milk of paradise until the public grows to appreciate him well enough to supply him with the means of buying bread and cheese. Otherwise, the position is simply this. On the one hand is the public, on the other is the person who wishes to entertain them. Is he to alter his taste to please them, or are they to alter theirs to please the unsolicited entertainer? If their taste is not good enough for him, his films will not be good enough for them. A film writer, producer, or actor who sets out to be a popular entertainer has undertaken the pursuit of a particular form of art. His fellow artist, the sonneteer, must work to a pattern, but that does not prevent him from turning out a masterpiece. The musician who sets a lyric to music is limited in many ways, yet he can compose an immortal piece of music. It is the same with the producer of films. As a producer of films, he must work within the limits of his medium. As a producer of films which are meant to have a popular appeal, he is limited in additional directions. It is possible to surmount all the obstacles, but it is very difficult. Most writers, producers, and actors who have artistic inclinations find it as much as they can do to take care of the art and leave the entertainment to take care of itself. A very much greater number have neither the inclination nor the ability to take care of the art. So they concentrate upon the easier provision of entertainment. It is perhaps better to neglect the art rather than the entertainment. The function of a popular entertainment, it must be said once more, is to entertain. When an artist has learned to make a film that is meant to be popular fulfill its prime function, then and then only should he add the frills of art. Too many artists regard the entertainment as the frills. Chaplin, Fairbanks, and Lloyd, to mention only three film stars, have the ability to combine art with popular entertainment. They are all after the money of the public. They have so steadfastly given it what it wants that a reputable critic dealing with Chaplin and Fairbanks has said that the public has made them what they are, has insisted that they shall not change, and has quite unconsciously picked up a good thing. quite unconsciously is really exquisite. Chaplin has a name that is honored among artists. The public has succeeded in imposing its will upon him by insisting that he shall continue to play the same part. It has so steadfastly supported him that he has been able to continue his progress as an artist. Surely, then, the public which made Shakespeare is entitled to claim that it has made Chaplin. We admire our numerous film stars for what they actually are, not for what they might have been, and their development has been influenced beyond measure by the generality whom they set out to entertain. But it is said that quite unconsciously the public has picked up a good thing in Chaplin. That is to say, unless a person has a knowledge of art and is conscious of its presence in an artistic performance, his response to the appeal of the artist should be lightly dismissed as the unconscious picking up of a good thing. The artistic popular entertainer, however, does not appeal to the intellect, where consciousness of art is found. He appeals to the emotions. When Chaplin does something funny, he is not wondering whether those who have a knowledge of the art of acting will appreciate his skill. He does not desire the attention of those who critically examine a good thing before they pick it up. The art unconscious laugh or tear of the man in the street is what he is after, and the best praise of both the artist and the spectator is the smile, the roar of laughter, the lump in the throat, or the tear in the eye. Chaplin is not a great artist merely because he can work upon the emotions of spectators. Much less artistic performers can work even more skillfully upon the emotions of particular people. Chaplin is the supreme artist of the films because he can entertain more people than anyone else. If he acted precisely as he does now and no one enjoyed his performance, he would be a poor artist. The existence of a great artist who is a great popular entertainer connotes the existence of a public which appreciates his genius. It does not matter if they do not value the artistry which he displays. So long as they respond to the effect of the artistry, they are worthy of an artist. The public will welcome as many Chaplins, Fairbanks, and Lloyds as care to make their appearance. It does not demand the absence of art. Otherwise, it would reject many favorites, but it does insist upon the presence of entertainment. It has no use for films in which art, instead of being the servant, is the master. When a film is offered as popular entertainment, and a tremendously expensive film is an obvious example, for it only if it succeeds as a popular entertainment will it recoup the producers. The whole end of the art must be to increase the effect of the elements of popular entertainment which are embodied in the film. If, for example, a scene is meant to be humorous, the art does not matter a rap, except insofar as it makes the scene more humorous. People do not care how much art there is in a film, provided it all serves its proper end of entertaining them. They enjoy Chaplin, whose stories as a writer, devices as a producer, and movements as an actor are full of polished art. But to return to our sheep, or five. But to return to our sheep, our silly sheep of the early days of the film, who were engaged in making the industry prosperous and rendering it possible for later critics to earn a living by running down the entertainment as it was in the beginning, still is and shall be evermore, if too much attention is paid to some of the critics. In 1904, the art of narration was so much in its infancy that the following advertisement was issued regarding a film of which the producers were proud. The company was one of the largest in England, and their panegyrics can be relied upon as an indication of what they considered to be an attractive film. Naturally, they stressed the elements which they thought were of special interest. Sheffield Photo Company, Tramps, and Washerwoman. Number 156. Wary Alfred knocks at the door and asks for alms, but is indignantly refused. He disappears and finds a haven of rest under the bushes in the garden where the clothes are drying. Tramp number 2, by name Lazy Larry, knocks at the house door and asks for assistance. He receives such an indignant refusal that he vows revenge. Going into the garden, he throws dirt and mud all over the clean clothes on the line. The wrath of the washerwoman on her arrival is very apparent, and seeing wary Alfred fast asleep, naturally assumes he is the culprit. She throws a pail of soapy water over him, grabs hold of his collar, dips him into the tub of soapy water, and in a vehement manner inflicts severe punishment on poor Alfred. Alfred emerges from the tub, covered with soap and water, very indignant at the undeserved treatment which he has received. Very laughable subject. Length 140 feet. Price £3. 10S. I don't know what the S is still. Marlene Dietrich, Harold Lloyd. Paramount stars George Arliss, John Barrymore in Moby Dick. Early in 1905, a film entitled The Stolen Pig was said to be one of the finest comics that had ever been seen. The opening showed the exterior of a butcher's shop. An old woman of suspicious appearance walked up to the front. Seeing no one about, she slipped the sack which she was carrying over the carcass of a pig, and unhooking it from the rail, she staggered off. The butcher made his appearance and immediately noticed the absence of the pig. He called for his son, a little boy, who soon spotted the thief some way down the road. They both followed her on tiptoe. The scene now changed to a shady lane. The old woman was still carrying the pig. Thinking she had escaped observation, she placed her booty in the hedge and went to sleep. The butcher and the boy came up to her. In a moment the butcher had changed the pig in the sack for the boy, giving him the trotters, which stuck out at the top in the same manner as before. By the time the old woman awoke, the butcher was out of sight. She jumped up and tried to lift the pig. It was so heavy, however, that she dropped it. The next time she stooped towards it, the dead pig gave a series of jumps and kicks. The woman started back, and the pig, rising on its hind legs, chased her, leaping, bounding, and waving the trotters in the air. More frightened every moment, and unmindful of the way, the old woman tumbled backwards into a pond. The butcher came forward and released the boy from the sack. The two of them stood laughing at her struggles in the water till their sides were like to split. The Life of a Cowboy, issued by Edison in 1906, was one of the longest that had lately been seen, extending to 1,000 feet. In part, it derived its interest from the fact that the cowboys were real, and that all the scenes except the first were set in the midst of the prairie. The story was simple but packed with action and began in the Bighorn Saloon. Among other incidents which took place there, a party of cowboys entered on their horses and made an English tourist and his valet dance to the music of revolver shots. After this, they drove them before their mounts to the bar and made them stand drinks all round. Another scene was pure circus, for the films were still unable, or rather were unwilling, to disassociate themselves from existing forms of popular entertainment. At cowboy sports, exhibitions of horsemanship and lassoing were given. The guests left in a coach and were attacked by Red Indians, the chase ending in the capture of the coach. Then came the routing of the Indians by the cowboys. In the same year, Mr. E.V. Lucas said, "I have noticed invariably that whereas the more expensive halls give farce only, at the poorer pathos is a necessary ingredient." To people who could afford to patronize the theaters, the cinema was not of very great consequence. Only in farce of its own particular type, containing tremendously speedy action, people rising from the floor and sticking to the roof, men being squashed flat by steamrollers, and pasted on hoardings as posters. Dogs going into a machine and emerging as sausages, and so on. Was the film a purveyor of forms of entertainment which those with time and money could not obtain in a much better shape elsewhere? Ordinary people, however, took the film seriously. From their earliest days, the moving pictures have meant more to the millions than to the upper 10 or the middle 10,000. They therefore demanded pathos, and as the art of the film was young, the pathos was crude. The story of a rogue's redemption will illustrate the nature of the pathos, which was a necessary ingredient at the less expensive halls. Pictures of this nature came to the forefront about 1906, by which time the films had entered forever into the lives of the people. A convict escapes from prison and is hidden from the pursuing warders by a woman who is the mother of a little girl. With her help, he regains his freedom. Some time later, with a companion, he breaks into a house. He enters a room in which a child lies sleeping in a cot and discovers that she is the daughter of the woman who had helped him to escape. The child awakens and is frightened at the presence of a strange man. However, the burglar gently hushes her off to sleep again. She falls asleep holding one of his fingers, and he prefers to risk detection sooner than disturb her slumbers. The mother comes in, again the object of her kindness. He is shown in the final scene, making an honest living in a workshop. 6. In 1906, Mr. E.V. Lucas commented very wisely on the new form of entertainment. A fairly satisfactory proof that the cinematograph has conquered is to be found in its popularity, not only in the ordinary music hall, but among less enlightened audiences, even than those which one finds there. At Barnet Fair this year, I noticed that many of the old shows had given place to animated pictures, and at the fete of the Invalides in Paris a few weeks later, I observed the same development. In both cases, the invented story, comic, tragic, pathetic, was the staple. There were no royal processions, no conferments of the freedom of cities, no military maneuvers. Instead of taking the place of the illustrated paper and as the cinematograph, 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 at first did almost exclusively and still does at the more pretentious halls. It was taking the place of the theater. And for two very good reasons, it was making the real theatrical booths look very foolish. One being that the pictured stories were bright and engrossing, involving the use of only one sense, and never straining that, whereas in a stage play in a booth, one often fails to hear and sometimes to see at all. And the other, that the body of the booth was in darkness, a favorable condition for those who attend fairs in couples, whether in England or France. The very human essayist could smile at the preference of young couples for the darkness. Not a few other people, however, used the darkness as one of their objections to the growing form of entertainment. It afforded opportunities for the appreciation of girlish beauty, which Evo, appropriately in the character of a fat, smug, highbrowish boy, described in a recent number of Punch as that beauty which appeals so much to the commonplace boy and attracts him to the cinema during the holidays. But alas, even Magic Lantern Show was not free. What's up, brubba? Brubba? Was not free from the same feature, and in one of our illustrations, the young couple behind the operator are worth looking at. The darkness also facilitated the playing of practical jokes by members of the audience. Even worse, it enabled people to assault one another. I just say another. In 1906, a lady was committed for trial at the Marlborough Police Court on a charge of having taken advantage of the semi-darkness during a bioscope turn at the Alhambra to assault another with a hat pin or other sharp instrument. She's smart. The films, however, depended for their growth, if not for their very existence, upon the generality, lacking as he does a really good market for films among what one might call the kinematograph theaters. Kinematograph? I don't know how the hell you would say that. Kinematographs theaters, said a writer in 1907, the English manufacturer is forced to pay particular attention to the wants of the showman who goes from affair to affair with a tent fit up and gives a show at 2D or 3D a time. The showman received his opportunity about 1904 when films were not let out on hire and an installment system was introduced for the purchase of projectors, accessories, and films. He was now in a better position to change his program. Nevertheless, the films continued to suffer at the hands of showmen in provincial halls and fairs. Films were run through at a terrific rate. One operator, for example, dealing with the life of a cowboy, caused the horses in the circus scene to rush round at a truly astonishing speed. When a cowboy was giving a demonstration of lassoing, he whirled the rope round so fast that it was invisible, and his hands seemed to be waving purposelessly in the air. Scratch films were all too frequent. Breakdowns were common. Films were even shown which were composed of a miscellaneous assortment of pieces that had been joined together. Every join brought an abrupt change of scene and character and story. This was probably the quickest form of variety program that has ever been known. On the other hand, many of the shows to be seen at the fairs were superior to those of the average music halls. Notable among the reputable exhibitions were West's Army and Navy, Hall's Tours, and Walter Jeff's New Century. Paul Whiteman and his band in the Universal picture, The King of Jazz. Cool, buddy. Astley's Amphitheater in the Westminster Bridge Road, 1808. Astley's first circus. At fairs, the most elaborate structure after the roundabouts was usually that belonging to so-and-so's living pictures. As in the old days of the dramatic booths, the showmen attracted attention by shouting. They exhibited dancing girls, midgets, a wild man, or something of a similar nature, and the free entertainment was enlivened by the strains of a gramophone, organ, or automatic piano. Circus showmen added films as a lucrative sideline, and James Lloyd claimed that he was the first to exhibit them in Ireland. Right. They still can be. We get rid of all these fuckers. Early in 1905, Gaumont Chronophone was exhibited at the Hippodrome and other music halls. It was a combination of gramophone and cinematograph. Why the hell they just not make it say cinematography? The two senses of sight and hearing, said a writer, were stimulated in a very agreeable manner as the spectators witnessed the action of a blacksmith projected upon the screen and heard, apparently, from the workman's lips the appropriate song entitled The Village Blacksmith. There was even more enthusiasm when a Negro appeared and delivered a laughing song. By 1907, the Chronophone subjects included songs by Harry Lauder. On behalf of Harry Lauder, it was announced the Gaumont Company were prepared to receive offers for the hire of Lauder Chronophone subjects, which had recently secured so much applause at the Hippodrome. These films and records were almost as great as an attraction at any music hall as the famous artiste himself. Realizing this fact, the Hippodrome had put out a poster showing the comedian with the inscription, "Exclusive engagement of Harry Lauder on Gaumont chromophone." The first motion picture theater had been opened in America in November 1905. Yet in July 1907, we find the Kinematograph Weekly deploring the lack in England of kinematographic kinematograph. I don't know how to fuck to say it. Kinematographic. Kinematographic. It sounds fucking clunky. Entertainments of the sort common in France and America. That is to say, in which the program is wholly and solely made up of films. Music hall managers and kinematograph exhibitors alike have been credited with the opinion that shows of this variety would not be successful in face of the competition of the music halls and theaters. In the music hall paper, The Encore, a writer said about the same time, 7 years ago I pointed out to the profession that the greatest enemies the artists had were the film merchants. The kinematograph pictures picture shows the kinematograph picture shows have come to stay, was my argument, and each time an operator is employed, two or even three single turns are ousted. Yeah, he's fucking he how thoroughly my predictions were borne out by events is patent to anyone today, although at the time I was accused of being an alarmist and a pessimist to boost. Este. In July 1907, the first cinematograph theatre in London was opened, this being the Balham Empire. Performances were twice nightly, and there were matinees on Wednesday and Saturdays. The orchestra played suitable music. There was an interval of 10 minutes in the middle of the series of 14 scenes. The program lasted about 2 hours. The modern cinema in England was launched at last as far as the theater itself was concerned. As for the films, it was in the same year, 1907, that D.W. Griffith, a young American, produced his first picture. The Adventures of Dolly brought art into the cinema. Previously, a simple story had been acted and filmed in a straightforward manner. Griffith, however, made use of close ups, fade outs, cutbacks, and other devices. He was the first artist to enter the film business, and the public welcomed him. With the first English cinema just opened and D.W. Griffith beginning to produce plays, the year 1907 is an important boundary line between which it is hardly necessary to pass in a survey of this nature. The importance of the cinema of today is obvious. All that we have set out to do is to trace its early development and to see it safely started on its career. That's power. That's done. What do you got besides Harry Lauder jokes? Harry Lauder had a daughter, and Este was her name. March 8th, 2017. How's your stalker doing? Should report his ass anyway. But then he'll probably just come and fucking off you. Send you to Hades. Does anyone know of any licensed arborist, that said abortionist, arborist in our local area looking to give my 2 trees some TLC? A good pruning and an overall health assessment. What are you talking about? Does anybody need a side gig? Must have painting experience. Jobs will be indoors. Hey! Donate to 3-year-old Amelia Begley lost to drowning. Does that mean she's dead? What kind of fucking wording is that? Lost to drowning. Canadian? That explains it all. What's he post about you? Where's he even posted? Enter Scaramouche with a stick. Post on his YouTube channel. What's he, a fucking entertainment channel? It's sad, buddy. Take him to fucking Judge Joe Brown. good sound. That was a manosphere. Who the hell convinced all these women that that stupid ring in their nose that looks like fucking a huge piece of fucking booger is an attractive look? I just don't understand. I don't know what a manosphere is. Do you? Why the fuck? What is the attraction of that? Every time I see those things, I'm just like, what the fuck? It looks like somebody has a fucking huge bug in their nose. I just don't understand it. Why? Why do people have them? Nothing's worse though than the fucking huge earplugs. I got a fucking huge hole in my earlobe. Just don't understand it. Is that why people do it? Everyone that hates their father does it? Fuck you, Dad. I'm getting a nose ring. Is it to embarrass him? Just tell him you're a Canadian. I mean, is it though? You ever watch that one YouTuber? He's like an Arab guy and he has a party store and it's in the hood and he just messes with people to get reactions. Party Central? No. I don't know what the hell Party Central is. I don't think it is. It's a party store. Anyway, all the people that he has a conversation with, almost all of them respond in a similar manner. And they say gang when referring to him. And then what's the other word? Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. And then there's gang. I'm just like, how the fuck can everybody all have the same lingo? It's kind of weird to me. It's like people saying that's T or on God. It just doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's how I see those nose rings. I can't accept gang. Gang, gang. What is going on with this planet? No, I refuse it. If someone says to me, what's that fucking Riz? They're out of my life. Or what's the other one? Giat's about to be banned from my life. What is it? Riz and I don't know. Can't think of the other one. There's another one I really hate, but that or when someone says kitten. If you say kitten, you'll eventually get banned. Of course, it's hard to see it unless you hear them say it. Because now people on like news stations are saying kitten. Ooh, yeah? I mean, that just sounds like you're fucking got mental illness. Kitten, where the emphasis is on the en instead of just saying kitten. Kitten. It's a kitten, not a kitten. They say it now on local news. I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Oh, you mean like Hawk Tua? Yeah, even porn has that same thing going on where girls like, who the fuck does that in real life? Nobody. If they did, they should be fucking slapped. But then they'd like it. Hey, slap me upside the head. I love it. And then all these women say they have bodily autonomy. I'm like, listen, motherfucker, you have no autonomy. I mean, you can dress like a hooker, but you have no autonomy. They're literally stealing your money out of your paycheck and forcing you to pay property tax. You have zero bodily autonomy. You can dress like a hooker, but you have no autonomy. You are a subject. I mean, it's the dumbest thing. Men are trying to take away our rights. You have no rights. Only right you have is to be forced to pay money. Is this fucking shirt on backwards? That's brilliant. Kitten. You've heard it before. I'm trying to think of the other words they say. Yeah, I don't know who allowed the. Most people shouldn't be allowed to vote, but women literally hate what rights. Women have no concept of what rights are. They think fucking having getting their going to the doctors is a right. That ain't no fucking right. A right is when you're allowed to be left alone, not when someone gives you something. Kitten. They are ghettoizing everything. It's just become accepted speech. Yeah, gang. Yo, gang. I guess no one's breaking in. I can turn the fan back on. What time is it? 1:30. I'll be back. I gotta go throw my laundry into the dryer. Oh man. coffee in the fridge, dude. What do we got? I want to start saying the kitten thing, but with chicken instead. Chicken. I don't think chicken's part of it. Say mitten. Now the water's gonna start popping. It's cold. Let's see if I can find that. Kitten emphasizing the EN. I don't even see it. Nobody even. I don't know. I gave up. I gave up. I fucking gave up. What the hell's up with YouTube lately too? They've just been. But every about once or twice a week, they just shut off all your views. Bitten. What was that story I heard of them? I was furious. Furious. No, it's a ghetto thing, and then now all these like fucking announcers and stuff say it. The hell was that news story? WWJ. Trying to think of what that story was. Shit. Bet you if I look on their YouTube channel, I can find it. Just trying to think of what that story was. Why was it? $2 years ago. That ain't no good. I want them recent ones. Bob Kitten. Yeah, what's up? Trying to find an incidence of this bullshit. So I'll know the story because I was infuriated when she said it. And I know it was about a week ago. Just a matter of time before I find this fucking story. I'm just not gonna find it. Money dropped from helicopter. What? Maybe I'm never gonna find this story. "53 cats found living in Michigan motel room." That's fucking brilliant. They're gone. Fuck it. I give up. I'll never find it. Kitten. Kitten's supposed to rhyme with Britain. Britain. fuck you. You're not asking me if I'm verifying that I'm human. I'm not. Go fuck yourself. Never answer one of those again. Oh my god. 144.
Wow. 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 Wow.
I'll try to have the sound turned down, don't I? How do you know that's what you're eating if you're in the dark? Sicko beheaded own father on YouTube because dad wanted to stop him from becoming next Donald Trump. Sicko beheaded own father on YouTube because dad wanted to stop him from becoming next Donald Trump. Kittens. Just gonna look up pronouncing kitten. Julian McKechnie. Mountain. Let's see if this lady's gonna say it right. She looks pissed. Why can't I hear her? Something's going on with the sound. Put her on fucking full screen. There it is. Alright, let's see what she says.
And then an sound that's in an unstressed syllable, like kit, eat, got. It also happens when you have nt and then an in an unstressed syllable, like mountain, account. It also happens, last one I promise, when you have an rt followed by an sound in the unstressed syllable, such as carton, shorten. This kitten sound is pronounced when you have a vowel, a t, and then an sound that's in an unstressed syllable, like kitten, eat, gotten. It also happens when you have nt and then an in an unstressed syllable, like mountain, account. It also happens, last one I promise, when you have.
I hate her guts. She's saying it right, but I still hate her. I didn't dream shit up. I hear people say it every day. Alright, here we go. This is gonna be it. 5 years ago.
Crazy cat lady. Turns out it's not a real thing. A new study from UCLA shows owning lots of cats doesn't mean you're mad, sad, or anxious. Researchers analyzed 500 pet owners and found feline owners are not more likely to suffer from depression or anxiety. This backs up a similar study from the University of College London that found no link between cat ownership and psychotic symptoms. Also, I want to say, you know how people often group people like dog people and cat people? I like both. I do like both, but I am a dog person. Well, yeah.
I'm totally with you on that. In this phase of my life, I'm definitely a dog person.
You had a cat growing up.
I had a cat growing up. I had multiple cats.
I had multiple cats growing up.
And dogs. And then when I moved to Hawaii, I got a cat. And then now I got a dog.
You got a cat and a dog?
No, cat first and dog.
Okay. Hey, but kittens are super cute.
Wait,
Did you
she
say
might have.
kittens?
Listen.
Kittens are super cute.
Did you
Kittens are super cute.
did you say kittens?
Kittens? Can we not say that?
I don't know. I thought it was kittens.
Kitten.
Yeah, he corrected them too.
I was gonna say both. I was like kitten. All right. Let's do the weather. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear it? He said, "Did you say kittens?" She said kittens. Shut up. What's all with all these people who say they have autism now? All these motherfuckers who are perfectly normal people, except they have no friends, and they all blame it on autism. No one likes you because you're a piece of garbage. It's not because you have autism. You can't just have like a total normal life and then just say, no one likes me, I have autism. That's not how it works. I don't know how to get along with people that have autism. No, it's just because you suck at socialization. That's not autism. Kitten. A kitten has autism. That's orange cat behavior. Someone better have voted on my fucking thing. Getting sick of no one voting. I start banning people that subscribe. Subscribers start getting banned. I only need to keep it at 1,000, honestly. See if anyone voted. Still only 3 fucking votes. How can I have 1,061 subscribers and only 3 people vote? Unacceptable. Kitten. 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 Mountain. Training for mall walk season. How's this? Got shut off, but then it started back up. Kitten. How can you not say it? Can. Scaramouche. Scaramouche, Scaramouche, will you do the fandango? Send a bolt of lightning. Very fucking frightening me. Who the hell else is in this chat that's just sitting there quietly, not saying anything? Creepers. Creeper.
Creeper.
Maybe it was just me leaving. Participants. Bar sympathants. No. Showing only one again. So there was somebody just sitting there. Now it showed 0. That's weird. Very strange. Yeah, banning people's great. I don't ban them out of malice. I just ban them so they can't be in there. Then it forces them to go make a whole new channel or a new YouTube account. It's great. Mountain? How can't you not say it? What do you say? Mountain? Mountain? You have to say it. Mountain. 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 You can't even say it without. Christmas? Hell yeah, you do. What do you say? Christmas? Christmas? No, you say Christmas. Chris. It's Christ. Christ Mass. It's Christmas.
Mama, 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 mama.
Bullshit. 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 Possible not to pronounce T's. What do you call it, a cat? I mean, how would you know if it was a car or a cat if it's just a cat? I guess if you said car, I would have to say the R. I'm gonna play this video for you. Tell me where you think this woman's from.
And this is why I can't stand all these conversations about the downsides of pretty privilege, right? Because not only the vast majority of the examples that they show are things that unattractive women are also experiencing, like sexual harassment, but also the experiences that are unique to beautiful women are nothing compared to what unattractive women have to go on a daily basis, right? Like, there is no more humiliating and dehumanizing experience than living your life as an unattractive woman.
Bum, bum. What do you say that accent is? Maoin. Did you hear that accent? Meow. I'll just say meow.
Are you okay? Beef! Oh, Doc, it's beef! Come quick!
Oh. Right. To me, it sounded German, but Claims she's from Spain or something like that. Yeah, this woman lives in London now, so maybe that's what the weird mixture is. She sounds German to me. Please confirm your recent purchase. Hey, moron, I fucking told you. Hey, do you recognize this transaction? No. I just used my other fucking card and completed it, but no, I don't recognize this because you declined it for no fucking known reason. Hey, we're just going to decline your card. It makes 0 sense that you declined me, you bastards. We didn't think it was you. Who'd you think it was? You're Your card is good to go. Thanks. You can keep using it. Yeah, I could have too if you wouldn't have fucking declined me. We'll use your feedback to make it better. Here's an idea. I'm fucking 5 miles away from home and I use my card and you just decline it for a $16 purchase. It's dumb as shit. See if it was $17,000. Black Sun? I don't know if I ever heard that. Yo, dog.